Hello. Last night we removed what's called the head cover. I'm probably going to call it the rocker box or rocker cover, but the rocker arms are located in the S&S cycle world. This sort of similar to the rocker box cover to me, but going to put some of the loose parts in here so we can find all of them. We've got it located at top dead center. There's 3 marks in there. 1 mark, 2 mark with a band between it. I've got it located on the 3rd line that's by itself. I don't know if that's a timing range. I'll figure that out later. I verified top dead center with this poker through the spark plug hole just to verify lack of piston movement at this position. And then also there are 2 dots on the cam sprocket that line up with the gasket surface of the cylinder head to indicate that it's at top dead center, along with 2 oil holes in the camshaft that are facing up at top dead center. And also being able to see, I guess I'll rotate this around, doing too much talking. Two holes at top dead center, and can't remember what else I was going to say about top dead center. One of the retaining screws for the sprocket, so it all lines up. I'm going to remove the exhaust side cam chain tensioner, or the strip. I have already loosened the screws for the tensioner. On the intake side, so I'm going to pull that out, set that aside.
So what's that do?
This is spring loaded, and it applies tension to the cam chain to maintain tension on the chain so there's no slack, and then you can control the camshaft accurately with the rotation of the crankshaft. But to be able to, I can take this cam out with the sprocket on if I remove the slide or the exhaust side adjuster. So we're going to pull that out.
What's that made out of?
Plastic.
Oh.
So lubricated, and the chain is sliding on it. So now I can slowly work the chain off the cam sprocket, and now can lift.
Should the chain come out?
No, because it's attached to the crankshaft, or circulated around the crankshaft. And just to be safe, I will get a piece of wire to fish it out and hold it, just in case we need to.
Wouldn't it work to?
I can probably retrieve it with that, but I'll use this wire to be able to keep it in position. So as most people know, you get a hook on it. Okay. It is September of 2020, and we're in COVID times. So, but I'm not wearing a mask. Andrew's not wearing a mask. Quentin, want to come in front of the camera? Quentin's wearing a Kool-Aid mustache, but that's about all, no mask. So for tonight, want to be able to remove the cylinder head and so we have the 4 main cylinder head fasteners, and then it looks like we've got a couple 6mm screws. The intake manifold, of course, is going to come off with it, and then it looks like there's 1 screw here and another down here. So 4 from the top, 2 from below. And those look to be 13. I would like them to be 1/2 inch drive, but they're not. Must be, maybe they're even 12mm. They are 12mm.
So are we gonna take those off then?
Yeah. So we got a total of 6. I'm gonna call them primary head bolts. Okay, I broke free 1, 2, 3, 4 head bolts. 5 underneath, number 6 under the manifold, and then we're going to take this water neck off the bottom of the cylinder. But I'll let the boys start loosening up these fasteners. And just, yeah, you got to pinch the socket. There you go. Maybe if you want to use a deep weld on that, I'll get you up above. Grab the wrong one. Isn't there we go. 12, not 13. Pull your sleeves up so they don't get oily. And plan for this engine is definitely the 686 piston, so it'll be the equivalent of, you know, the 700s when they came out with those, I believe in 2008. Require this cylinder to be bored 2mm over and then honed and fit to the piston that we purchase. And probably not going with the stroker kit for what we're doing. This is just going to be primarily utility, use it around the yard. We'll take it out on trails some, but it's just not going to be, not aiming for a power machine, more family machine. You want to do it that way? And a big part of this project is obviously learning about engines, but then the boys getting a chance to have tools in their hands. And how to use the different tools. I read about these head bolts, and they're pretty unique shape. They're neck down, and I believe they are torque to yield and only intended to be used one time. And so I need to further investigate that. It's popular for guys to install high strength studs, namely ARP studs, and some people have used socket head cap screws, 9mm socket head cap screws, but 9mm is sort of an odd size. So got to do some research. A set of head studs for this is, I think, probably $120, $130, and don't know if it's going to be required or necessary for what we do. Thinking about a 10-to-1 piston, so a little more compression than stock, which was 9.2-to-1. But again, nothing too crazy, not truly high compression from typical standards.
Okay.
And got underneath, you'll probably need the wrench. Why don't you hand me that socket, I'll get that from this side. I gotta find something for Quentin to be wrenching on. And just have the bolt most of the way out, just leave it in 1 or 2 threads so we can get it loose, and then once we get everything broke free from the head gasket, then we can loosen these bottom fasteners. I just like to keep track of them and keep them in the same hole that they came out of. But again, if they're going to be replaced, it's sort of irrelevant. But as I said, torque to yield fastener, in the theoretical sense, these screws are like very strong springs, and you tighten them to put tension in the spring to hold the cylinder head on. And these particular so-called springs, it'd be very goofy, but you could have latches with very strong springs to hold the cylinder head on, just as these bolts do in the theoretical world. Not too practical to do that, but these bolts have been stretched beyond their yield point, so they aren't going to be the same type of spring they started out to be. You'll be able to just tighten and tighten, and they'll just keep stretching, 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 because they've gone past their recommended limit and they've yielded to that shape. So now we have 4mm here. See anything else, Quentin? Nothing here. I think we've got this coolant hose. I'm going to do a little tapping on it. Okay, so this head is registered with a couple dowels that provide alignment, just as this dowel was here and a screw went through it. But that will provide the position this way, because screws typically don't do that. If it were just mounted with the screws, it could slide around, and then the sprocket wouldn't be parallel to the crankshaft, and the chain would wear out, and camshaft. Okay. So you've got that screw, I've got this one. And this coolant hose that I talked about, that should have taken off. See. Yep, good idea. just thread that in. Problem with this engine is the bottom end. You know, we cranked it over before. You can see a little bit of carbon buildup, but nothing unusual.
So this is the piston.
Yep. Piston, that's been me scratching around a little bit to use it to find top dead center. Okay, and the boys again watching the neighbors' place while they are gone. So that was the mother of the brothers saying that they need to go over to the neighbor's place. So now we've got these 4-cylinder studs, and then there's a couple socket head cap screws, and then this water neck. I've loosened that. Let's put a wrench in Quentin's hand. I'll get you a little feeder pipe. That'll give you a little more
Is your ear
little more leverage.
Look inside there. Quentin does not like it when I look inside his ear.
Oh. Okay. Break that free.
Going
Other way.
around.
Push it away from it. That would be the lefty loosey part. Counterclockwise to loosen.
A little bit longer, maybe.
There you go. Push. Come on, push. Okay.
The longer it is, the easier it is, but the further you have to take it.
Yeah. With this set that I have here, just don't have socketed driver bits or Allen driver bits. Okay. Take that one, Quentin. Oh, lift it up.
Come on, Mr. Muscles.
Okay. Now you can loosen it.
I always knew you had that many muscles.
Here. And just to check. Okay. Those are not 12 millimeter. Must be 14. So these are the cylinder base bolts. Screws actually. Since they are threading into something, typically they're called screws rather than a bolt. That's just getting into the finer details of industrial fasteners. You can just leave that one in position.
Should I work on the other one?
Well, let's let Quentin get these done.
Okay.
camera for that one.
Gotta have your hand.
Yeah, pinch it. Or use this driver. These were broke free, 1/2-inch drive. Now just letting Quentin take out the cylinder screws. Or spin it all the way around. And no need. Give Quentin a little time.
Now you can probably just use it like a screwdriver.
Yeah. There you go. I think you're all the way out on that one. Yeah, no doubt. Now I understand that the comment about torque to yield, where these fasteners, these screws are neck down and only used once. I think guys were complaining, sort of calling them junk, but truly they're only meant to be tensioned once, and then new fasteners.
Because they have to take so much there.
Yeah. A lot of development goes into determine the torque to yield. Not like you just go to a book where the Yamaha engineers would have put some pressure sensitive film to determine what the clamping pressure was on that on the cylinder, and rather than just saying, well, tight is right. Okay, so we're gonna get that. We've got these coming along with it.
What are these for?
Those are dowels to provide alignment.
Um,
And that one. Get these. Get this wire out of the way. That should be okay. It's going to hang small.
so is this the last thing we need to be able to see?
No, we're going to have to split the case to get to where we need to go. Hung up on the base gasket. Hung up on this hose. Okay. Forgot to take this water neck off.
Oh.
Gonna need to make a holder for this. Got an idea, but we need to take off the generator side first and get the flywheel off before we take any of the clutch off, because this will help us to hold the crankshaft. You got it? Okay. One dowel flapped out.
I heard something. Oh. Is this a down?
Yep. So put those here, and we're gonna see what we
What
have
would
here.
that be?
Wow.
Oh, so
Yeah,
it's
it's
able to move.
should be not any movement. Why don't you bring the camera over here? So here's the issue with this engine. Big end bearings are beat out of it, and then the connecting rod has a nice dog leg in it. So, no surprises. We expected something not so good, and here's what we got.
So that's what a knock is?
Yeah, that's quite a knock. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see what we find as far as roller bearings in the crankcase, but oil didn't seem to show any parts and pieces.